It's time for a cup of coffee with Will and Chris at Slumberland Furniture. From Slumberland Furniture in Osage Beach, here are your hosts, William Holtz and Chris Schneider.
Time for this week's cup of coffee, Wild Will.
Uncle Chris.
Here at Slumberland at the lake. We got a lot going on this week. We wrap up last week's election, a little bit of controversy. Well, at least maybe a potential recount with the Camdenton School Board. One vote, did you see that?
One vote, and very disappointing the vote turnout.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was horrible.
Low. Numbers 8, Presiding Commissioner Skelton.
Yeah.
His initial hearing has been rescheduled. Big news from COMC here locally. Big news announced from Camden Runs. We have tons going on, and we recap a busy week, that and a whole lot more on the other side of this.
Hey everybody, it's Daryl Cunningham with Slumberland Furniture at the Lake. Part of our big spring sale is we're doing some spring cleaning in the mattress gallery. That's right, all the showroom models are on sale. Huge discounts so we can bring in the new models. Not only that, but we have sales for every room in the house. You're going to get up to 20% off and interest-free financing for 36 months. And don't forget, we're delivering the entire lake area. So come see us at Slumberland Furniture, where we're bringing happy home.
The lake has it all. The scenic outdoors, the incredible events, and of course the water.
But did you know 50% of all fatal boating crashes in Missouri last year involved alcohol?
Although we know the lake is all about having a great time, we also know what's most important to you.
So don't forget and always designate a sober captain ahead of time, so this summer won't be your last summer.
This reminder to drive safe, boat safe, brought to you by Price and Randall Injury Attorneys.
The biggest names in music visit Lake of the Ozarks in 2025 at the Ozarks Amphitheater. Get ahead of the crowd with the Ozarks Amp Fan Club. Score pre-sales, announcements, special offers, day of show details, and so much more. The best part is, it's free to join, but you've got to sign up to beat the crowd. Visit ozarksamp.com and score big with Missouri's #1 outdoor music venue, the Ozarks Amphitheater. We'll see you under the stars.
All right, as we dig right into this week's show, Chris, so last Tuesday, the election, the municipal elections, right? Here locally, a lot of people talked about not knowing they were even happening. And as you look at the turnout, pretty dismal to say the least.
I saw it was 7% turnout of eligible voters. How ridiculous is that? You know, if you wonder why our country's been going to hell for the last 50 years or what, it's because voters, good people, don't get out and vote in good people. And so 7%, crazy.
Yeah. Miller County, 1,454 out of 19,010 registered voters for 7.6% turnout. And in Camden County, out of 33,441 registered voters, just 2,156 of them hit the ballots and their precinct on Tuesday. That was a dismal 6.4%. As we look at some of the big races, of course, the mayor of Camdenton, the incumbent John McNabb, and the challenger Dan Owsley. That was pretty contested, right? Figured that would be a massive turnout, right? There was a lot of things online. Of course, we put out our opinion, shared something we saw from Casey Cloak with the Camdenton Chamber. We had talked with others, and the incumbent, Mayor John McNabb, he got nearly 60% of the vote, but just 156 votes. The challenger, Dan Owsley, 107, 263 votes decided this position for the mayor of Camdenton. And although there was a lot of support for the challenger, Owsley, incumbent John McNabb has been reelected. But I think it's good to have awareness of the Camdenton City and Mayor McNabb's office and things going on. And they do have their meeting the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. And there are concerns currently over they don't offer a live feed or broadcast that meeting, citing expensive cost and how there's no statute or law that requires them. But it'll be interesting with their meeting. It was just the third Tuesday of every month of this week, what went on. But in case you're interested in getting involved, you also look at other things that happen. Osage Beach, there were aldermen that were pretty big positions. You know, there's been a lot of contention and a lot of people getting involved, you would say, in the city of Osage Beach. So all 3 wards had positions. Now, Bob Osteen, he ran unopposed and was reelected. Now, in Ward 2, Justin Hoffman, the incumbent, gets 58 votes, which was good enough to get him reelected, defeating Carrara and Donovan, 2 challengers. And here's kind of the surprise. In Ward 3, longtime incumbent Richard Ross was defeated by challenger Rebecca Collins, 79 to 67. So just 12 votes decided that race, just 146 total votes. So newly elected. There are no other changes and big changes in the city of Osage Beach. Look at the city of Lake Ozark. Do you see some changes there?
I did. New mayor there, right? David Ridgely, I think, wins the mayoral, and I think he won that pretty easily. And they probably had a couple of new aldermen come in there.
Yeah, it looked like in Ward 1, Dave Miller defeated the incumbent Sherry Jackson. In Ward 2, Krista Watts defeats David Gregg. And in Ward 3, Drake Schmidt defeated the incumbent Carol Denny. And so you got a new mayor, at least 2 new aldermen. And so as we look at those newly elected officials being sworn in, the government for the city of Lake Ozark looks, completely different. But I feel a lot of the same momentum that was led with Mayor Dennis Newberry. And right, wrong, or indifferent, it'd be hard to argue in the 4 years that he has been mayor with the trajectory of the city of Lake Ozark. You look at city administrator Harrison Fry, and it was pretty cool to see David Ridgely, you mentioned it, 74% of the votes, beating Johnny Francescos, who is running. He's been mayor before, of course, and the people have spoken, and so it'll be cool to see what Mayor David Ridgely and his board do. But the biggest position in the city is really the city administrator, and so that's Harrison Fry, and we feel like, the city of Lake Ozark is in good hands any way you look at it. And then the big race, right? The Camdenton School Board. Yeah. There's a good turnout for this. Way more than the mayor. Of course, you have to be in the school district, much larger than just the city of Camdenton. But were you surprised when you saw how close that race was?
I was a little bit, but then when the numbers, voting numbers of less than 7% in Camden County came out, I wasn't too surprised. So the incumbent Eric Walters and Deborah Wright separated by just 1 vote after the night. And that pretty much means you have to have a recount, I think, right?
Yeah, well, according to the Missouri Constitution, Chapter 115.601, and this went into effect August of 2013, in a municipal election, anything less than 1% difference would then qualify for a recount. Now, there has been some conceptions and some online chatter that the Camdenton City Clerk, Roland Todd, is refusing to do a hand count. And I reached out to Roland Todd, the county clerk of Camden County, to find out what was really going on. And he did confirm he got a letter from the the Republican Central Committee demanding a hand count. However, Clerk Todd did say that they're waiting on a petition from the judge. It's really not up to him. He said, they were anticipating by Tuesday morning when I talked to him the same day we record. They had yet to hear, but it'll be up to the judge to say when they do the recount, where they do the recount, and how they do the recount in regards to whether it's a hand count or they put those through the machines. And he said, so that's not up to him. That is all based on Missouri Constitution and statute. So he will wait to hear back from a judge. We'll keep you posted there. Now, there was also murmurings, right, that there was a lack of trust for the functionality of county election tallying equipment or software. And so I asked, Roland Todd, I said, is there any truth to that? And he said, there's no truth to that claim. There's no substantiated proof at all. I've been here for 23 years, and he said, if it doesn't work all of a sudden, he goes, what does that mean about previous elections? He goes, in 23 years, it's been super important to me that we have fair elections. He said, I trust our equipment. And he goes, and it really doesn't matter whether I want to do a hand count or a machine count. It'll totally be based on what the judge rules, and what the judge rules, he said, I'll follow by the book, and we'll wait for that. Yeah. And so I thought that was very fair, very transparent. And Eric Walters, who, was the one that won by 1 vote over Deborah Wright, he has the right to be involved, like present in that recount process, but there's literally rules and regulations to how that goes, who is able to be involved, who is able to be present, and how that all gets certified. And so it does seem to me like there's some people making some demands and claims and accusations that may not be based on Constitution, based on statute, and based on what I looked into, it looks like Camden County Clerk Roland Todd is doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. I will keep you guys posted if we hear back on does the judge petition for a recount. And I would think this is close, 888 to 887.
And it wouldn't even be hard. I mean, you only had 2,156 votes cast in Camden County. I mean, it's not going to take you long even to hand count to go through those and, figure it up. It's not like you have, 1 million votes or 500,000. It's just 2,000. So,
right, but not for us to say, not for Roland Todd to say. It's for a judge to say that'll rule exactly how that goes and whether that's a hand count or whether that's based on a electronic system that we already have. It'll be on the judge to say, and County Clerk Roland Todd said that's exactly how he will move forward. So we'll keep you posted there. And other news for Camden County, Ike Skelton, presiding commissioner. Of course, his initial court date was scheduled for April 11th. Well, on April 9th, he posted to his Facebook page at 7:25 a.m. that his initial hearing from April 11th had been moved to May 22nd in Camden County. Simple case net search would confirm that his hearing continuance was filed by Megan Grace Oliver, who is listed as presiding Skelton's attorney from Carthage, and the special prosecutor on this case is Nicholas Komorowski, listed out of Jefferson City. And you'll remember Commissioner Skelton had launched a legal defense fund, and at time of recording, that was up to $12,265. And so right now, May 22nd in Camden County, Honorable Judge John Aaron Martin will preside over that case. Will be interesting to see. We hope to be present and keep you guys posted. But that was big news, right? Because that case was supposed to happen already. And so a little bit of a continuance, a little bit of a delay, which is very common.
And what I understand is Ike Skelton did not have an attorney until just recently. And when he finally did hire an attorney, they got the continuance, to delay that, push that back a month or so. That's going to be a really interesting trial to see what turns out with that whole thing, because it's kind of county against state and all that stuff. It's going to be interesting.
Sure, and the hearing, the continuance was filed on April 1st, so it had to be prior to that Megan Grace Oliver had been contracted or selected or hired to be Commissioner Skelton's attorney. So we'll keep you posted. May 22nd, going to be busy, man. So much going on.
Yeah.
You almost forget about all the legal proceedings and things happening, like elections, like so many people forgot about here locally last Tuesday. But other big news coming from Captain Ron's, they're launching their first ever Lake of the Ozarks Cannonball Run. What is the Cannonball Run?
This thing's going to be interesting, right? So, first ever 2025 Cannonball Run, August 16th through the 23rd. So that's leading right up to the big shootout. It's like shootout week leading up to the big races. You can win up to $50,000 in cash. So how it works, participants will register for the Cannonball Run, $250, according to Ron Dugan. And that includes one poker hand and an entry into another or both of the grand prize drawing. So this is kind of a poker run kind of a thing. And then participants can bring in receipts from any businesses they go to around the Lake of the Ozarks and get even more cards for this poker hand. So that's a big part of it, and that's how you win those cash prizes, it sounds like, is by going to businesses locally and using those businesses. In the meantime, it's going to be a whole week of partying, or mostly a week of partying. So on Wednesday at Captain Ron's, they start doing setup for the vendor village and registration. Then on Thursday, August 21st, you've got like a car show, a Speedway skill challenge out at the Ozarks International Speedway. There will be a meet and greet and then live concerts and stuff that night. Then on Friday the 22nd, they're going to do breakfast and a scavenger hunt. They'll have live entertainment again. It's going to be kind of like a party out there at Captain Ron's, it sounds like. Winners will be announced of one of the poker drawings, I think. Again, more live entertainment. They'll have fireworks on that Friday night. Then on Saturday, they'll still have the car show going. They'll have breakfast, a sandcastle contest, which is kind of interesting. That's right up your alley, right?
Yeah, that's mine. I'm going to win that.
You got, again, live entertainment. They, again, do the receipt collection and the poker drawing. Winners are announced for those. I think there's two $25,000 winners, so up to $50,000. And then it goes into Sunday, where they haven't announced a special event that they're going to do Sunday, but they say it's pretty exciting, whatever it is.
Well, listen, Air, Land, and Sea. That was in the press release, right?
Yeah.
A week-long celebration by Air, Land, and Sea. So that would tell me, maybe we're going to see something aviation-related. Who knows? But big news, and it's worth noting, this is happening August 16th through the 23rd, which is the exact same time frame as the 2025 Lake of the Ozarks shootout.
Yeah, which is moved from Captain Ron's. So Captain Ron's is going to be free to do this. It's not like they're going to be, weighed down with the crush of the shootout, because that is moved over to the Grand Glaze Bridge area. And so Ron sounds like he's just kind of taking advantage of having the open opportunity that week, and hopefully maybe this will add to the festivities and the and the fun of the shootout.
I'll say this: August 16th through the 23rd, you want to be at Lake of the Ozarks any way it shakes out. There's going to be so much to do, and we're excited to see this grow. And man, it's really hard to believe that we're already halfway through April, right?
Unbelievable.
I mean, wrapping up April nearly as we look at.
Every year in August, it's like, what? The shootout's here again? It just comes so fast. And, while all that is happening, the Cannonball Run at Captain Ron's, you've got all of the shootout events happening that week too. So it's going to be, you're right, that week is going to be jam-packed. I mean, if there's a week to be at the lake, that's probably the week to be at the lake.
Don't forget concerts at the Amphitheater.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be off the, it'll be crazy. Now, big news for our, official medical partner, Central Ozarks Medical Center. They broke big news, and you probably already saw it on the Central Ozarks Medical Center Community Spotlight show with Kelly Miller, but they're rocking.
Oh, man. So Kelly Miller's a COMC. Since she's been at COMC, they have just exploded in growth. I mean, it's unbelievable. They've put new facilities in Laurie and Eldon. They've been in Richland, Osage Beach, and Camdenton. They're building a new place in Crocker, I believe, and they just announced they're adding another facility in Osage Beach.
They're taking over Boone County Health Center, or Boone Health, right there inside Hy-Vee, which is massive. That's right in front of their main location in Osage Beach. Gives them a lot more access. And the cool news is they're contracting. They've agreed to terms with Dr. Maria Barnaby and her husband, who are just beloved. And you look at the trajectory of Central Ozarks Medical Center. They've got their pharmacy they're about to have finalized and open in the near future. Their expansion in Camdenton, that is part of that pharmacy. We just attended their 5K last weekend in Health Fair. That was a lot of fun. And they've got their annual golf tournament coming up on May 5th out there at Bear Creek Valley. We'll be golfing in that. That's where I'm going to finally get you out on the links.
I don't think so. But you have to watch this week's Community Spotlight show, because Kelly Miller is our guest on that this week, CEO of COMC, and she talks about all of this. She explains all of this, so be sure to check that out.
And in case you're wondering, COMC offers high quality health care with or without ability to pay, but it's also worth noting they accept Medicaid, Medicare, self-pay, and on most commercial insurance, they do use a sliding fee scale available based on household size and income, assuring that all community members can access the care they need and deserve. And as you watch them grow, they're going to be everywhere for you and your family across mid-Missouri and in the Lake of the Ozarks, Tri-County area. So with COMC, where your health is their mission, and we're really proud that Central Ozarks Medical Center is the exclusive medical provider of Lake TV here.
You know, she has put such an amazing team around her. She's just such good people. Every time I see her, that story, I'm reminded of that story of like her right-hand person, was found out that one of their patients had a dog at home, and that they couldn't get back to feed the dog. So she went to that house, took dog food and fed the dog, while the person was getting treated at COMC. But that's the kind of people they are.
Oh, yeah,
right?
that's Ashley.
She is so cool.
Amazing. All right, so other big news, like a lot of people don't even know this, that at the lake 2 times a year, you can catch 1 fish and walk away with 6 figures. That's no joke, right?
Yeah, 100,000, right, I think.
The Big Bass Bash, there's a spring and there's a fall, and this last weekend was the spring. Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, shameless plug, Spring Big Bass Bash presented by Bait WRX. Man, Big Al's good.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Nate Bolter on his big win. This is like a record, I believe. He caught 8.28 pound giant.
Bass.
I don't know, I'm probably wrong, but I don't believe there's ever been an 8-pound fish, because when second place Cal Laughlin caught his 8-pound, they were sure that was going to win it. They had posted the first time ever 8-pounder. Well, then Nate Bolter ended up doubling that up.
I think that is a record at the Lake of the Ozarks for the largest bass caught. I think that, an over 8-pound bass. Wow.
So Cale Laughlin, he got that 8-pound beast to take second overall. $100,000, $20,000. That's a big payday difference. We've had some great stories from the Big Bass Bash over the years. Remember one of the top 10 stories about how the guy fried up and ate the winner?
Yeah,
so,
getting caught out in the storm one year, that one guy. And it's fun living on the lake when the Big Bass Bashes come along, because there's so many boats out there. You could walk across the lake on all the fishing boats that are out there.
Right. Hey, third overall went to Joshua Russell with a 7.7 pound bass, $10,000. I would have won it some years previously. Tyler Herrick of Dallas, Texas, that's your stomping grounds, landed a 7.28 pound giant.
That's some big
Took
fish.
fourth, 5K. And then Amber Fernandez won the ladies division with a 5.28 pound bass. It was good for $1,000. And they give away a Phoenix boat, right? So Michael Schulhammer won the new Phoenix bass boat. Pretty incredible. And you can check them out on Facebook and Instagram, Anglers in Action. Big Al does an amazing job.
Big Al
McCullen, he's the PR and the director and runs that whole thing. But that's such a cool event, and the family that's behind that. Can you imagine? We talk about it, but I think one of these days we're going to fish that and we're going to win that money.
Okay.
I'd even be happy splitting $1,000.
I'll set up a TV camera so I can watch you. That'll be good. So,
All right,
I'm getting old and lazy.
Hey, a lot of our stories that we give our spin on are courtesy of our friends at LakeExpo.com. They just announced, Lake Expo Real Estate, their partnership merging with the Fall Stitches.
We love those guys, yeah.
We do, and this is really cool because one of my favorite people, who I consider to be the greatest writer down here at the lake, is Nathan Bechtold.
Yep.
He is the publisher with Lake Expo and Shore Magazine, and they announced, Lake Expo, that they're having a new podcast called Take on the Lake. Mm-hmm. It'll be hosted by Nathan Bechtold. And
he's a pretty boy, too.
Yeah, much better than you and I could offer on
a
cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Well, unless he's co-hosting our show.
He's not as smart as we are, but he's much prettier.
Well, I guess it depends on who you ask. But listen, their first episode is already out, and they talked to Missouri boy and the voice star Trayvon Dawson.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is that? About his spiritual journey, his favorite music growing up, and that's available on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pocket Cast, iHeartRadio, Pandora, YouTube. But they're saying that Trayvon Dawson is going to make a lake appearance this summer, and they teased that in that first edition. So it's Take on the Lake with Lake Expo's Nathan Bechtold out now. I'm looking forward to following that this summer and for years to come. All right, hey, I'm calling on all local businesses, business owners, people on the west side. We need your help. On April 27th, 2 events. There's Swings for Leukemia and Love for Lakin. A local couple, Michael and Jordan, have a blended family of 9, and their youngest, Lakin, just 3.5 years old, has been diagnosed with B-cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and they're doing a silent auction to help with expenses that come along. The silent auction is going to be that evening from 4 to 6 at Indian Rock Golf Course. And there's going to be the golf tournament that day. Swings for Leukemia. But look, like lake area businesses, like I'm asking you guys to get behind this family and get involved. Make a donation to the auction, write a check, come and golf in this tournament, share whatever you can do just to help this Swings for Leukemia golf event. It's the same day as the auction. All takes place at Indian Rock Golf Course. And for more information, contact Jordan Roberts at 573-693-8263. And in the meantime, please just add Michael and Jordan and their family and beautiful Lakin to your prayers and in your thoughts. Just can't imagine. And so we're asking you guys to get involved. I know there's so many out there. When you ask the lake community to step up, the lake community answers. And so Wild Will and Uncle Chris, we're asking you guys, please reach in, be generous, and help this family. We're gonna try to send someone out to that event and get some
That's right
video.
off of O Road, I think, right?
Yeah, right there in
Indian
Lori.
Rock.
That's our stomping grounds. And so by all means, please get involved and make a difference as this family walks through this tough battle. All right, so as we recap a busy week in the books, it's getting busier, None busier than the last like 5 days, 6 days. Thursday, we had the Lake West Chamber dinner.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like it was a speakeasy theme out there at the Elks Lodge, and Lori, really, they say Graveway Mills, but good job to Mike Koningsman and his crew. Small Business of the Year, the Demolition Brewing Company, Ryan and Samantha Lair and Lori.
How cool is that?
Congratulations. Of course, Volunteer of the Year, Melissa Carroll with Town and Country. Congratulations. She's so giving of her time with the Lake area or the Lake West Chamber. And then I loved this. The Entrepreneur Award went to Lisa Griffin with Chicks and Dicks right there in Sunrise Beach, a newer business the last couple of years. If you know her story and her tenacity and how she's just continued to move forward and grow that, she's very fitting. And then another great one, you got Ambassador of the Year, Nicholas Ferris with Edward Jones. And then we were all fired up about the Distinguished Citizen and Community Partner of the Year went to Pamela Quinn and Lake Days Rentals. And very fitting. That was amazing. Pamela, her and her husband Mike and their family, they relocated to the lake. They never planned on being here. And she gave her speech about how the lake has just become her family. And she got kind of emotional, and it was so cool to see, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. It's always fun to hear the stories behind the businesses. It's like we know most of these people just, you know, from being in business and stuff like that. But then you hear the stories behind them, like where they come from, why they came and stuff like that. It's worth it, man.
It really is, and their story is neat. Their team's grown and what they've done, and so congratulations to all winners. Good work to the Lake West Chamber of Commerce.
Great job.
Great night. The food was amazing.
From Captain Ron's.
Captain Ron's put out the spread of the year. It was just awesome. So great event, and then. Very next day, Friday, I went with my grandpa, Papa. Sometimes we go to work together. He loves to join me sometimes. We went to Camdenton's Hurricane Decks Market Day there in Sunrise Beach. Third graders, they did different business models and sold products, and you got to engage. It was unbelievable.
Wow.
Really, really cool. And then, of course, you can look on Lake TV for recaps from the Bridge and Dam Half Marathon.
You were there.
Yeah, awesome
You're
event.
everywhere.
There was 489 runners across 22 states, including one runner from the UK.
Wow.
Big shout out to Alicia Machino, Scott Page, Fun Runs, all of their volunteers. Amazing event. And a big shout out to Daniel Carnahan, Skyview Photography. As always the case, it was there at like 2:30 in the morning waiting, got the most breathtaking shots you've seen. Like, look at this. Look at the fog coming off with the dam there and the flag and the Ameren sign. Just, man, that guy's, he's special, isn't he? So check out full recap on Lake TV's all pages. And then, of course, Dace Jam, 3-on-3 tournament, and auction and dinner, the DMAC Impact Foundation's second annual event. And I talked with Alyssa.
And it was huge.
I talked to Dylan McNerney and Alyssa Gam, you know, Dason McNerney's brother and sister, and they said all indications look like it broke last year's record, which $65,000 last year they gave back to people with Crohn's disease and suffering with addiction. Like, this is unbelievable event start to finish. And then, hey, check out on our Facebook page. We're running out of time, but Did you see Kinsley Porter harvest that massive turkey in Camden County?
It was bigger than she is.
Yeah, didn't even make sense. That thing was crazy. 24 pounds, 13 ounces, triple beard. Wow, congratulations to Kinsley. Until next week, my friends, that's going to do it for this week's Cup of Coffee.